Thank you for joining us as we talk about how to have a growth mindset during an economic downturn. My name's Ashley Speaker, and today I am joined by Patrice Blakemore. She is the Executive Director of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, which is in partnership with Cuyahoga Community College. Patrice, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Ashley. It's always wonderful to talk to you.
Yes, I feel like every time we have these discussions, I learn so much. You add so much value and expertise to what we're talking about because you've been through so much of what small businesses go through and have the great mentality. But could you give just a little snippet about your background and how you got involved with 10,000 Small Businesses?
Well, before I began working with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, I had my own consulting company, and I wanted a change. I wanted to be able to work with people, and I saw this opportunity to apply for the business advisor role, and I was hired for that. I did that role for 5 years before becoming the executive director of the program. And let me tell you, it has been a whirlwind, and it has been so satisfying and thrilling because over these years, I've had the opportunity to work with more than 500 different small business owners and see the ups and downs, the best practices, and just really been humbled by their resilience.
That's awesome. And then for those that don't know what 10,000 Small Businesses, could you give me it in a nutshell or the snapshot of the program?
It is a 3-month accelerator for small business owners who want to uncover their blind spots and continue to thrive.
That's awesome. That was a great put it together with all those adjectives, because I know there's so much that goes on in that intensive 3 months, which is why I think you're going to have great insight on this topic that we're talking about today, that growth mindset during an economic downturn. And that just sounds so funny. Like those things shouldn't be related. Thinking about growth during an economic downturn is a really hard thing for individuals to do at times. So, how can a business owner accomplish that or start thinking towards accomplishing that?
I agree with you, Ashley. It sounds like an oxymoron, right? How can you grow when there's an economic downturn? But one of the things is that business owners need to understand is that you can overcome anything. Now, you may have to change. There may be transformation. There may be a different business. But you can come back from anything by just taking the time to be quiet. When you're in panic mode, you really cannot assess properly where you should go, what direction you should take, and be strategic. It's very, very difficult to be strategic when you're panicking. So taking that time to take a break, I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's take a walk to clear your mind, do something different. And I can tell you, our program, we run, it's a small business that we run. And so we have the same challenges that all small businesses have. And I can tell you from experience, when I have panicked, not only do I panic my team, but we cannot be strategic and be as successful as we are when I take a step back and say, okay, let me just take a deep breath. Just like that. Mm-hmm. And let me just regain composure and figure out strategically what are the top 2 or 3 things we can do to turn it around.
That is so great. And I feel like that advice is so sound for all areas of life, but then, you're taking it and you're applying it to, business, team, reacting to the economy, reacting to, the other, stressors that are going on around you, and kind of that deep breath, that go for a walk, that, take a step back and then reorient yourself, right, to what's going on and what you can do. So with that, those are positive things you can do. What mistakes do owners typically make during that time? Because I feel like when we're stressed, when we're on high alert, we tend to sometimes, mess up in ways.
Absolutely. And I would say, in my experience, the biggest mistake that business owners don't take, that they make, is by really not thinking about how to be strategic. They just bury their head. And you know, we all have strong suits, right? There are things that we do very, very well. And in many times when you have those stressors, your strong suits come out even more. And so for those who just like, I'm just going to bury my head, I'm just going to get it done, just bam, 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 I'm going to do it, but not think about, do people still want this, right? Or am I really doing this in an efficient and effective manner? Because you may find out at the end, yeah, you put your head down, you did the work, but it was all for naught because people don't want that anymore. Their focus has changed. And not taking that step back, taking that deep breath, like it sounds so simple. And people may hear it and say, oh my God, like, okay, really? That didn't help. But let me tell you, our mind is one of the most powerful organs that we have. And most of the time, the solutions that we need are in our head, but we have to be quiet enough to hear them. We have to be in a space where we can receive what the next step should be. When you're go, go, go and you're panicking, you don't have the mental capacity to understand what the solutions are that are in your mind. There's no way, it doesn't go. That's just like a kid having a tantrum. You cannot reason with someone having a tantrum. You have to have that tantrum, and then you need to say, okay, here's the next steps that we need to do.
Yeah, you can tell you're a seasoned parent as well as an executive director.
Listen, we all have tantrums.
Yeah.
It could be adults, it could be kids. We all have tantrums. And when we're in that tantrum mode, I can guarantee you, you're not getting the blood to the brain that you need to make to come up with the solutions that are going to be most advantageous for you.
Yeah, and it's so easy to just have blinders up when things go wrong or clamp down on what used to be your strong point. But like to your point, maybe during the economic downturn time, things have changed. Or maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe your service is more vital than ever, but you need to market it differently or something needs to change. So you need that perspective.
And I just want to say you're absolutely right. If you're in an economic downturn, you're in a business that's suffering from it, yes, you have to be strategic. But if you are in a business where it is advantageous and you see that your income and your sales are just going through the roof, guess what? That's when your processes need to really, really kick in place, and they need to be efficient. You need to make sure that the experience that your customers are getting where makes them want to come back over and over again, and it makes them want to tell their friends and family about what you're providing. So it's just as important to be strategic when it's advantageous or when it's when there's a disadvantage during the economic downturn.
And that's huge because it really helps the ebb and flow when you're trying to make changes and improvements if you already have great processes in place, but then can elevate you to the next level if you're ready to take that next step with what's happening on the outside. So that's if you're maybe in a stronger area during economic downturn, but how can business owners think about growing if people aren't buying during that time?
What you need to do is you need to talk to your customers. I don't care if you email them, if you call them, if you send them a survey, wherever and however you normally reach your customers is how you need to re-engage and be in communication with them. You need to find out, how are you doing during this time? What are your pain points? How can I help you solve them? You may not be initially the answer, but you may have an answer for them. Or during that conversation, you can find out, oh, well, we offer these services. We have these products. We already have a solution for you, but you don't know it's a problem. So you need to really think about, how do I reach my customer and my clients and engage with them, find out how they're doing and how you can help problem solve for them.
And again, it sounds so simple, but how often do we forget to go to the customer and just ask that simple ask, right? Like, what do you need right now? What can I offer you?
That's a great point. And for our program, when businesses are in our program, we believe in just continuing to improve. So that continuous improvement, and we have evaluations every
Mm.
class, and they give us feedback. They say, Patrice, we don't like the way you do X, and we say, okay, what is it that you want? They tell us, and we go back to the drawing board and we make it happen, because they are the most important. I mean, your customers and clients are the most important, in addition to your employees, right? You got to have great employees to make things happen. But yeah, it really matters how they're experiencing your product and your services.
Wow. Wow. And it's great to lead by example in that way, that you will take the feedback and then do something with it. Because that's the other important point, right? So you can ask all you want of what they need. Are you willing to make those changes to what you're doing to continue on that growth
Absolutely.
path?
Absolutely. You have to walk the walk and talk, you have to be the example. And if you're not going to take the advice, don't ask your customers. It doesn't matter. But if you're willing to make changes and to be flexible, then absolutely reach out to them, because people, even the ones that don't like your product or your services or had a problem with it, that's where you gain the most information. It is so invaluable to talk to people who did not have a good experience, because then you can say, here's how we can change that for the future. More times than not, people want to use you. They just want it to be easy. They want you to
Mm.
fix the problems. And if you fix the problems, then everything else works out.
Yeah, I love that, because especially with a small business, it really is about building the community around you. And with community comes participation and customers being involved. I mean, everyone has an opinion, right? So like they'll give it to you if you just ask for it. Yeah, sometimes you need to you know, toughen up a little to hear some of it, but you can
Absolutely.
always make improvements based on that. So I wanted to kind of dive into, you mentioned at the very beginning that you've advised and helped over 5,000 business owners, which is incredible. So with that, what are some of the best practices you've seen business owners do to, grow their business and continue on that upward trajectory?
Well, we've had the opportunity. I mean, we've done exactly what I just talked about, and we've reached out to our alumni over the past summer and just re-engaged and said, how are you doing? What's working? What's not? I had the opportunity to talk to alum. He graduated from our program in 2013, and he's in the restaurant business.
Mm.
Restaurants are taking a hit. It's tough. And he took a step back and said, you know what? I'm just going to have to close my business for now. He said it was the best thing he ever did. Now, you may be listening to this and say, why would she be giving this as an example? Because what he's doing is reinventing himself. He says, I'm going to come back better and stronger with a different concept that's more profitable than I had. He said, this is the best thing that ever happened to me, because I should have done it a long time. Sometimes it helps us, it's a kick in the pants to say, you must do something different.
Mm.
And that's an example. Now, that is an extreme example, but a more conservative approach that I've seen this work is we have an alum who washes windows. And he went to his clients, he talked to other people, he did a partnership. And now not only does he clean windows for not only residential but commercial, but he's also cleaning those buildings who want to open up to the public to make sure that it's a safe space for the clients and obviously the employees.
Wow. Wow. And both those examples are great because they're just taking an approach with a different mindset in this time. You can't always rely on what worked in, for lack of better words, the good old days, right? When things were
Yes,
good. And that cleaning one, I mean, that makes it, people are more keen than ever to be like inspecting anything. So if they can do anything to
absolutely.
improve an environment as people enter it, make them feel more comfortable and safe, that's a great, positive thing that they're doing. And that's just awesome. So there are going to be those that are listening and, maybe they don't have that next idea for their restaurant, but they feel like they might need to close, or, they feel like there's no hope because they don't have the creative juices for the next thing. There's just so many other things going on in the world stress wise. What would you say to those people that right now just feel like there's not hope for themselves?
You're not alone. You need to find a tribe. Think about people you respect in the business world, maybe also in your personal world, and convene an advisory board. And you want to look at people who have skill sets that you don't have. So you may be the craft person in your business where you love the craft, you're good at it. That's why you started your business, but maybe you're not an accountant, right? So you look for someone who's comfortable, who may be an accountant or comfortable in the financial space. Maybe you need some legal advice. You look for an attorney that you know. Maybe it's just being strategic or someone who's good with processes and procedures. So you're looking for those people who have skill sets that you don't have. And then you say, hey, I would love for you to be on my advisory board. We are looking for someone just to engage for a year, 4 times out of the year. It's going to take a couple of hours. I'm going to set the agenda. I'll tell you what are the high points and what are the low points. And the low points are the areas that I will need your expertise in for you to give guidance so I can decide what my next move is going to be. And I tell you, the most important aspect of having an advisory board is having the time to look at your business from top to bottom. Look at your financials. Are you hitting your sales goals? Do you have sales goals? And if you don't, what should they be? And so those are the questions. If you're saying, oh my God, I have no idea what my sales goals are or should be, then that's what you would bring to the advisory board to give input so that you could make a decision from that point.
And that's huge to just have that honest conversation with yourself and then with other people about highs and lows and yeah, the goals. I mean, I think it can be incredibly challenging to set goals, especially when things change on the outside. So something that might have been obtainable before all of a sudden seems unobtainable.
Right. And here's the key to setting goals. When you don't have any historical data, you make them up. It's that simple. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for a baseline, a starting point. You make up some goals, and then you create a path to hit those goals. And if you don't hit them, then you go back and you revise them. And if you hit them, you set new ones. So you're always evolving. It's not that people make it harder than it's supposed to be. They're like, I don't know if these numbers are correct. Okay, so test them out. You're your own case study. Set the goals, test them out, see what works, make revisions and adjustments as you go along. But I guarantee you, the one thing that will happen is you will make progress. And you'll be in a better space than you probably are at this point if you feel like, oh my God, there's no hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I bet we could make a whole nother video about goals, goal setting, measurement, specifics, data, which maybe we could talk about sometime in the future. But I love that you ended on that note, because it's so important that we break down things into smaller pieces for ourselves. So just having that goal or adjusting the old goal to something new. I mean, those are huge things to just give you a different perspective and something you're shooting for that's more obtainable during this time.
Absolutely. And here's the last piece of advice is I would say make a movement forward. Do something. Get out of your comfort zone. But at the same time, be very gentle with yourself. Mm-hmm. And understand if you have a day where you're just down or you feel depressed, you have that day, right? If it's extensive, then you definitely want to talk to someone. I've done that and it's made the world of difference. But make sure that you are taking care of yourself and that you are being gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just come up with some solutions and move forward on the solutions that you come up with and make adjustments as necessary.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Patrice, thanks so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Ashley. You're wonderful.
Well, I'll have you back anytime. For those of you listening that want to check out more information about 10,000 small businesses or any courses that we might have at corporate college to help boost you in your direction, whether it's efficiency or processes, please check out the links in the description. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.